Who's Karen Davis?
Hey, everybody, just bear with us 1 second. John Gelsich, are you on? Lori, do you happen to know where John is?
I don't. I mean, we talked about it. He knows it starts at 8. He just might be running just a couple minutes late.
All right, let's hold on a few minutes. All right, let me start off by reading the remote meeting script, and we'll go from there. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that the members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access this meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hands or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting will be recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless you have been recognized by the chair. We will now confirm attendance of members. Please respond with present if you're on the call. Elise Malowski. Lucia Lopez. Matthew Ronca.
Present.
Michael King.
Present.
Parker Happ.
Present.
Vikasath Prati.
Present.
And Rob Benson is here. So we've got 5 members, so we got enough for a quorum.
Rob, I'm also here. John had sent me an email, said I couldn't participate on this one since the election hadn't been done yet.
Yeah, there's no official winner for a planning board, so Karen keeps her seat until that election is official.
Okay, well, Karen, it's good to have you for one more meeting.
Yeah, I'm like a bad penny. I keep turning up, but
All right, so we got 6. All right, staff. John, I see you, and Lori, I've already talked to you, so I know you're both here. Let me jump into our agenda. So for one thing before it's not on our agenda, but before we get going, just so people know, we're gonna do any reorganizational voting and that process next meeting. Once the new members of the board are go through their paperwork and they win their election and they go through the paperwork at town hall. All right, I'm just gonna go through the agenda, starting on item 1.1, scenic road determination, 55 Fruit Street. So I looked at the files and saw the images, but is the applicant on?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Hi, Pavel.
Hi, how are you?
Would you mind just going through in words and describing what you're looking to do?
Yeah, I'm actually looking to redo that. Well, it's hard to call it a retaining wall as it is because it's few layers of stones that were laid one on top of another one, and Mother Nature's taking its course. They're degrading and falling apart and just don't look nice. So I'm looking to redo it into something more permanent and aesthetically pleasing. Probably something like a couple feet high wall, and then it'll raise up to probably column towards the driveway. Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Okay, if you go back, so the bottom of these two images kind of give a good view of like some, it looks like somebody put some stones around a mulch area.
Yeah.
Some of them are along the street, some are along the driveway, but
They just fallen. Yeah, I mean, they used to be nicer and more in order when we first got the house, but they just fall apart and they move. I tried to put them back together, but then they just don't stay put because there's no mortar. They just held by its own weight.
Yeah, and I think the more important thing for the people on the planning board is it doesn't continue into a stone wall. It's a collection of stones.
Yeah, exactly.
Around this mulch bed.
Yep.
So then if you go to the next image, John, this is what Pavel is looking to do, and something like this.
Yep.
And so I think we just need to determine if the stone wall is like part of the scenic road. And if this stone wall meets the like applicability of a stone wall on a scenic road. My opinion would be it doesn't. The existing stone wall is, I would say it's not part of the a scenic road. A scenic road is typically a much different type of stone wall. I'll just read from our agenda, the recommendation, John's recommendation. The wall proposed to be removed is very low and appears to have been installed as edging for the garden beds. In the principal planner's opinion, this wall is not historic, nor does it substantially contribute to the scenic nature of Fruit Street as a typical piled stone wall we see elsewhere around Townwood. So does anyone have any questions on the board for Pavel?
No,
All right.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you, Parker. So I'd like to make I'd like to entertain a motion that the planning board make the determination that the stone wall structure at the entrance of the driveway at 55 Fruit Street is not subject to the scenic road bylaw, as it is not historic and serves as a decorative edge for the landscape beds rather than as a wall.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right. Matthew, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Rob Benson is a yes. Karen
Yes.
and Vic.
Yes.
Yes. All right. 6-0. Pavel, you asked about how close to the street. Like if you're gonna put a permanent structure like you shown in the image, like I'll just give you my opinion. I would talk to a land surveyor and put that not in the right of way. We had our DPW director on. I don't know if she's still here. Carrie Reed, do you have any, Pavel was asking us as the planning board, like if there's any requirements on how close a new, like more permanent wall could be to the road?
Hear me?
Yep.
It all depends on the right of way. So they change throughout town. Generally it's 8 to 10 feet off the edge of pavement is the right of way, but in some places it could extend much further. In some places it's much narrower. So I don't know exactly what it is at Fruit Street in this area.
Yeah, so Pavel, I think your best bet is to get a land surveyor to edge your property boundaries and not put a permanent structure in the right of way. So
who would know the exact right of way? Because actually I just finished the in-ground pool construction, and right before we started the construction, the land surveyor came over and did the plot plan. So I have the plan on hand. He did the entire property, because that was one of the requirements for the pool construction. So I know exactly where we start. It's just the question is how far back I have to go.
There's probably some land surveyor things in the ground at the corners of your property along the road, and like those two would probably most likely connect in a straight line. like, that's the only guidance I can give, really.
Okay. I can reach out to them again, and see, I guess, what they say. I mean, I was gonna step back, at least 5-6 feet, just because, it's gonna be expensive project, number one, and I don't want to snow plow to hit it during the storm season. So just solely for this purpose, I'm not looking to make it as close as the existing wall. And I've seen this existing wall that I have right now been hit by vehicles a few times. So definitely not looking to build something more expensive and put it in jeopardy of damage by the plow or anything else. So I was gonna step back at least 5 feet, just because. But
All right, Pablo, right now it's really out of our, like, I think our recommendation as is to not put the stone wall in the right of way, and I can't really guide more than that.
okay, all right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, on to
Mr.
our
Chair?
next. Go ahead, Karen.
It's Laurie.
Oh, Lori, sorry.
That's okay. Can I just confirm who made motion and second? Who was the first one? Was it Mike?
I have Parker making the motion, Mike making the second.
Okay, I had it backwards. Thank you.
All right. So, next administrative item, 2529 East Main Street. So, the background, this is all in the agenda, but the subject property recently went through the A&R process to divide the one lot into two. This A&R appears to take a small parcel A from lot 1A and conveying it to lot 2A, likely to address a deficiency related to side yard setback for the foundation for the dwelling on lot 2A. Do we have the applicant on?
I am here, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Doing well, and you?
Good. All right, if you'd just like to give us a little background here and then keep it moving.
Sure, same spot. The board endorsed a plan back in October. This new plan is to straighten out a mix-up that happened during construction. We did not have the minimum side yard setback necessary in that zone district. So Jim Danahy has authorized me to prepare this plan to give 617 more square feet to his son Alex, who is building his home now. We maintain the same front lot corner. We just add something to the side yard to get that foundation back in compliance. Alex's lot 2A grows by 617. Jim's 1A shrinks, but Jim is well over the minimum 45,000 square feet. It kind of straightens out a problem.
Okay. Does anyone on the planning board have any questions? All right, hearing none. I'd like to entertain a motion that the proposed modification to the lot line appears to meet the criteria for the A&R process and the plan appears to warrant endorsement.
Looked like Matthew had a question, actually, Rob.
Oh, sorry, Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if this was in the non-current project file, because I don't see any administrative files.
That was a mistake on our end. I thought Kobe had put it in there, but she didn't, so I just added it. It should be in there now.
Okay, thank you. I'm fine.
All right, would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Vic. All right, roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
and Vikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, moving on to 1.3 of our agenda, meeting minutes. Did anyone offer any feedback or commentary to Lori ahead of time, or does anyone have anything in real time here? Matthew, go ahead.
So Lori incorporated with the most recent versions as of 9 this morning. But for anybody that looked at it earlier, I did propose changes that are now represented for for several of the votes, just to correct some of the names.
Okay. All right. Anyone else have any comments? So the final set of minutes is in the folder. So we have two motions here. We've got one, I'm gonna do them one at a time. I'd like to entertain a motion that the planning board approve the meeting minutes for April 7th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, our second set of meeting minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion that the planning board approve the meeting minutes for April 28th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right. We're on to agenda item 2. So this is 0 and 109 Winter Street. If you recall, at our last meeting, we granted a waiver for the infiltration testing, and basically because they were going to build the basin to the max to assume no infiltration. So it looked like we had a peer review feedback letter with basically clean, except for one last point. Do we have anyone from Ty and Bond on or no? I don't think we need him, but just in case. All right, Joe, did you happen to see their feedback letter, the last point? I'm trying to bring it up here in real time here. All right, the last thing they commented was about the driveway width immediately west of the proposed culvert, not meeting the width. They weren't. They say, however, we acknowledge that vehicle tracking software is often conservative, and that an operator of such emergency vehicle will be able to navigate the area without difficulty. While we believe an increase in the driveway width is necessary at this location, the board may wish to consider a condition of approval that a revised vehicle tracking plan be provided or additional driveway width be provided to accommodate. Do you have any kind of response to that point?
Yes, it's a small area, right near the turnaround. If you folks went on the sidewalk, that area there needs a additional pavement. It's a small triangle, about 4 feet at the widest point, about 30 feet long. So it's something that should be added. I think that would be more effective than debating the merits of software and truck maneuvers and those sorts of things, is to simply add the extra pavement and get it up to meet the requirements that we show on the plans and have worked out with the fire chief. I guess it was more about the timing of it, to do a plan revision now in a timely manner, follow up whatever vote happens tonight. Handle this during phase 1, since the culvert installation and the pavement back to Winter Street was the first order of business on the project. By September sometime, there'll be pavement down that solves all this. So I guess it really came down to how the board wanted to proceed. It appears minor, but something that should be dealt with.
Okay. I think if we can make a condition, John, for this would be appropriate. Could you maybe help think of a condition that would help solve this?
So we got this already covered.
Okay.
Condition number 5
All right, great.
right here.
You're ahead of the game. You're ahead of me. Let's put it that way. All right. Perfect. All right. So does anyone on the board have any questions for Joe or about this project? Or if not, we're going to kind of move through our outline here. I'm not if your hands raised, I'm only seeing some of the people, but If you have any questions about it, unmute and let me know. Otherwise. All right, so I'm gonna go through do I need to read out loud the decision criteria 2.7?
No, the only thing you have to read out loud are the conditions
Okay.
and the findings, I guess.
All right, let me just go through the requested waivers here. So this application is for a special permit and also for the stormwater management permit. So 2.8.2, we granted this waiver last meeting, so there's no requested waivers outstanding. So I'm gonna go into should I read the conditions first or the findings? I never understand. John, which-
Usually it doesn't matter, but the findings justify the decision, and then the conditions are the items that are part of the decision. So if you want to do it chronologically, for lack of a better term, you would do the findings first.
All right, that's what I want to do. All right, so I'm going to go through proposed findings 2.9.1 for everybody following along in the agenda. Special permit common driveway. Common driveway will provide safe and reasonable access for fire, police, and emergency vehicles. The common driveway meets the proposed purpose and requirements of this section. The common driveway will minimize the environmental impacts. The common driveway will not serve more than 2 single-family dwellings. All applicable criteria and standards set forth in this chapter have been satisfied. Granting of the special permit will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this chapter. All right, so I'm gonna also read the findings for the stormwater management permit. The 2.9.2, the proposed work will comply with the Hopkinton stormwater regulations with exception of the waiver requested from Appendix E.4.R. The granting of the requested waiver is not anticipated to adversely impact the stormwater management capacity of the site nor have an adverse impact on the abutting properties or surrounding area. All right, section 2.10, the proposed conditions for the special permit common driveway. The common driveway shall only serve the 2 lots subject to the special permit. House numbers of sufficient visibility should be provided as follows. At Winter Street, where the common driveway forks so that the driveway to each lot is identified and on each dwelling unit. The applicant shall submit a copy of the final easement plan with mets and bounds to the planning board prior to the issuance of a building permit. The declaration of common driveway agreement and the final easement plan shall be recorded on the registry of deeds prior to the issuance of a building permit on the lots, and proof of recording shall be provided to the Director of Municipal Inspections. The driveway shall be constructed substantially as shown on the plans attached with the exception of the widening of the driveway pavement to accommodate the fire truck as shown on sheet 7 of 8 and 8 of 8, where the vehicle tracking is shown off the edge of the proposed pavement after it drives past the existing house driveway, heading towards the proposed driveway culvert. The driveway shall be widened by 4 feet at the widest for a length of approximately 30 feet, so as to ensure that emergency vehicles can access the dwelling unit. This revision shall be shown on a revised plan set to be submitted to the principal planner prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the new on-site dwelling unit. All right. We're on to section 2.10.2. The stormwater management permit conditions. Number 1, the proposed development shall be constructed as depicted on and consistent with the approved materials unless these materials are required to be amended or modified as part of this decision, which includes plans entitled Stormwater Management Permit 109 Winter Street, Hopkinton, Mass. Dated 4/14/25. Stormwater report and drainage calculations dated 10/22/24. Operations and maintenance plan signed January 15th, 25. Number 2, all erosion and sediment control should comply with the following performance criteria. Minimize total area of disturbance and protect natural features and soils. Sequence activities to minimize simultaneous areas of disturbance. Mass clearings and grading of the entire site shall be avoided. Minimize peak rate of runoff in accordance with the Massachusetts stormwater standards. Minimize soil erosion and control sedimentation during construction, provided the prevention of erosion is preferred over sedimentation control. Divert uncontaminated water around disturbed areas. Maximize groundwater recharge. Letter F, install and maintain all erosion and sediment control measures in accordance with the manufacturer specifications and good engineering practices. Prevent off-site transport of sediment. Protect and manage on and off-site material storage areas. Overburden and stockpiles of dirt, borrow areas, or other areas used solely by the permitted project are considered a part of the project. Comply with the applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations, including waste disposal, sanitary sewer or septic system regulations, and air quality requirements, including dust control. Prevent significant alterations of habitats mapped by the Massachusetts Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Programs as endangered, threatened, of a special concern. Estimated habitats of rare wildlife and certified vernal pools, and priority habitats of rare species from the proposed activities. Letter K, institute interim and permanent stabilization measures, which shall be instituted on disturbed area as soon as practical, but no more than 14 days after construction activity has temporarily or permanently ceased on that portion of the site. Properly manage on-site construction and waste materials. Prevent off-site vehicle tracking of sediments. Dust shall be controlled at the site. Divert off-site runoff from highly erodible soils and steep slopes to stable areas. Number 3, the project shall comply with the following erosion and sediment control requirements. Prior to any land disturbance activities commencing on the site, the developer shall physically mark limits of no land disturbance on the site with tape, signs, or orange construction fence so that workers can see the areas to be protected. The physical marker shall remain in place until a certificate of completion has been issued. Appropriate erosion and sediment control measures shall be installed prior to soil disturbance. Measures shall be taken to control erosion within the project area. Sediment and runoff water shall be trapped and retained within the project area. Wetland areas and surface waters shall be protected from sediment. Sediment shall be removed once the volume reaches 1/4 to 1/2 the height of a hay bale. Sediment shall be removed from the silt fence prior to reaching the load-bearing capacity of the silt fence, which may be lower than 1/4 to 1/2 the height. Sediment from sediment traps or sedimentation ponds shall be removed when design capacity has been reduced by 50%. Soil stockpiles must be stabilized or covered at the end of each workday. Stockpile side slopes shall not be greater than 2 to 1. All stockpiles shall be surrounded by sediment controls. Disturbed areas remaining idle for more than 14 days shall be stabilized with seeding, wood chips, bark mulch, tarpaulins, or any other approved methods. For active construction areas such as borrow or stockpile areas, roadway improvements in areas within 50 feet of a building under construction, or a perimeter sediment control system shall be installed and maintained to contain soil. Letter H. A tracking pad or other approved stabilization method shall be constructed at all entrance/exit points of the site to reduce the amount of soil carried onto roadways and off the site. Wilson Street and Cedar Street in the vicinity of this project shall be kept as needed throughout the construction process. Permanent seeding shall be undertaken in the spring from March through May, and in late summer and early fall from August to October 15th, during the peak summer months, and in the fall after October 15th, when seeding is found to be impractical. Appropriate temporary stabilization shall be applied. Permanent seeding may be undertaken during the summer if plans provide for adequate mulching and watering. All slopes steeper than 3 to 1. Height to H to V 33.3%. As well as perimeter dikes, sediment basins, or traps and embankments must, upon completion, be immediately stabilized with sod, seed, and anchored straw mulch or other approved stabilization measures. Areas outside of the perimeter sediment control system must not be disturbed. Temporary sediment trapping devices must not be removed until permanent stabilization is established in all contributory drainage areas. All temporary erosion and sediment control measures shall be removed after the final site stabilization. Disturbed soil areas resulting from the removal of temporary measures shall be permanently stabilized within 30 days of removal. All right, we're on to number 4. A minimum of 7 days prior to the start of construction, a detailed construction sequence shall be submitted to the principal planner by the site's contractor for review and approval. The approved construction sequence shall be followed throughout the course of the construction. It shall be altered only with a prior review by and written approval from the principal planner. A signed copy of the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, SWPPP, shall be provided to the board prior to the building permit. per 6.0.k.2, the SWPPP must include the signed notice of intent and approval letter. All required stormwater pollution prevention, stormwater construction site inspection reports shall be submitted to the principal planner within 14 days of each inspection. Number 7, an adequate stockpile of erosion control materials should be on site at all times for emergency or routine replacement. It shall include materials to repair or replace silt fences, hay bales, stone filters, berms, or any other devices planned for use during construction. Soil testing and excavation of the site stormwater basins must be observed by the board's engineer prior to laying loam and seed. The applicant developer shall notify the principal planner at least 48 hours, weekends and holidays excluded, prior to the soil testing and or excavation to allow for adequate time to coordinate these observations. All stormwater basins must be cleaned once the site is stabilized. All stormwater basins shall be cleaned prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Number 10, the applicant shall provide the principal planner with an as-built plan prior to the certificate of occupancy for the proposed dwelling unit. The as-built plan shall depict the shared driveway and all stormwater infrastructure associated with the approved project. All right. So we're gonna vote on a special permit for common driveway findings first. So I'd like to entertain a motion that the board accept and approve the findings as previously read aloud for the special permit for a common driveway application.
Matt has a question.
Sure, go ahead, Parker. Oh, I see.
He was saying
Matthew, I
out of
see.
meeting. Yeah, so I just want to confirm that on 3H, you just read projects shall be swept as needed was what you read, right?
3.H.
The last sentence, yeah. Wilson Street and Cedar Street in the vicinity of the project shall be swept as needed throughout the construction process.
That's,
Did I miss?
sorry, that's a carryover. It's not Wilson Street and Cedar Street. I do this every time. For some reason, I can't get this one right. It should not be Wilson Street and Cedar Street. It's from carryover from a different project.
So that we're gonna remove the Wilson Street, that sentence. So
Should just say Winter Street.
Winter Street. So instead of Wilson Street and Cedar Street on 3.H, it's gonna be Winter Street in the vicinity of the projects we swept as needed throughout the construction process.
Thank you.
I knew Wilson Street and Cedar Street weren't next to it as I read it, but I didn't want to slow down, to be honest. All right. So with that alteration, I'd like I go back to I'd like to entertain a motion that the board accept and approve the findings as previously read aloud for the special permit for the common driveway application.
So moved.
Second.
Is that Parker and Michael?
Yes.
All right, roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
actually Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vic Seth Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, we're gonna go on to we're gonna go on to the motion for the stormwater management permit findings. I'd like to entertain a motion that the board accept and approve the findings as previously read aloud for the stormwater management permit application.
Second.
All right, excellent. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vic Seth Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, we're on to the overall the special permit and the stormwater management permit. So special permit first. I'd like to entertain a motion that the board approve the special permit for a common driveway with the following conditions as they were previously read aloud by the chair.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Vic. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vikas South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right, section 2.12.2.2. I'd like to entertain a motion that the board approves the stormwater management permit with the following conditions as they were previously read aloud by the chair.
So moved. Second.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Vic. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vic South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, Joe, you're all set.
Great, well,
Um,
thank you.
You're all set for this one anyway. I think you're up next as well, but at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to close. Do we need to adjust any dates, John? We're good on dates. I just need to close the hearing for the special permit and the stormwater management permit.
Yeah, I should be able to get the stormwater management permit drafted in the next 4 days, as long
Well,
as
it's
you
up-
can be able. Sorry?
Is that okay with you? Do you think that's reasonable?
Yeah, I can get it drafted. Are you gonna be able to stop by and get it signed?
Does that mean it have to be signed on Friday?
By Friday, yes.
All right.
We can make it next week. If the applicant is okay with it. Monday is Memorial Day though, so wouldn't make it Monday.
Yeah, that's what I'm, it's just where I work, they gave us Friday off as well.
You wanna make it the 28th?
Joe, is that okay for you or does that cause problems?
No, that's fine with us.
So what do I need to make a motion here to extend the stormwater management permit decision deadline to?
No,
May-
because the applicant said that they agree with it. We can just do that administratively.
Okay,
Change
great.
the date to May 28th.
Okay. All right. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public hearing for the special permit and the stormwater management permit for 0 and 109 Winter Street.
So moved. Second.
All right, roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vic South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right. We're moving on to item 3 on our agenda. So this is Catherine Drive. This is the short dead end road near Center School. I saw a revised letter from PAR, our peer review consultant, but I didn't see any back and forth of responses. I see Bob Sykes from PAR. John Gelsers, maybe you give me an update from your perspective where we are at this point.
Yeah, so PAR sent a peer review on April 9th. The applicant submitted revised material dated May 13th, and then a revised letter dated May 13th. And I believe PAR and not added to the file.
Yeah, I
Wait,
didn't
letter on Friday.
I didn't see a response to Joe's comments for I think Joe sent an email back to the comments of the letter. I didn't see any final outcome, I don't think.
Let me dig it out. I'm sure it's somewhere in my files. Maybe I didn't even download it.
And if you're able to find it, John, maybe we've put it up on the screen so we can all just go through it
Yep.
together.
Yeah, I have it available, John, if you need.
No, I
Sorry.
got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby.
No problem.
Yeah. I mean, if it's easier, if you want to go through it, but I can put it on the screen.
Yeah, it's up to you. However, yeah, I can share my screen. That makes it easier, but. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Sykes with PAR.
Bob, thanks for being with us tonight.
Of course.
Bobby, I'll just let you share.
Whatever's easiest.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so we received the response to comments, and we had sent something I think later Friday, so apologies if that wasn't if that didn't get distributed or had an opportunity to review that, but we had gone through most of the response to comments. Almost everything was addressed. I think we have about 5 comments that we think warrant some additional action. We could go through, all of our comments and the responses, or whatever the board would like, or we can go through, the comments that we feel still warrant some additional action.
I think the board can tell me differently, but I think we'd like to know where maybe the differences are so we can focus on those.
Sure. That's agreeable to.
If
the board.
anybody on the board thinks differently, let me know. But yeah, let's go with these differences and start here.
Sure. So we had about 27 comments in our original letter, and I think there's only about 5 that warrant some discussion, and some maybe with some action. This one was mostly, so the grading materials plan identified that there was a wall in excess of about 8 feet, retaining wall. This would typically be taken care of during the building permit phase, but we just thought it was something that we should highlight to the board. A significant wall like that likely warrants some type of railing along the top, and then also would need to be engineered as well. So just something we wanted to highlight to you folks, but doesn't necessarily warrant any action as part of this process right now. But okay.
So does it, like, I guess I don't know. Is there so as part of the building permit process, is like he's gonna have to they're gonna have to take care of this? Am I correct?
Yes, I believe so. Maybe the applicant can speak to that process. But yeah, it would need to be designed, and then need to be a railing. Anything with I think International Building Code requires a railing on any drop over 30 inches. So it need to be detailed further as part of a construction set.
Yeah, through the chair, this won't impact the decision the plan was to make on the subdivision approval, though.
Correct.
Okay.
To the chair,
Yep.
it was the intent to lay out a block retaining wall. It was an oversight on my part. It never made it into that plan revision. So it's the intent of the applicant to provide that info.
Okay. I think for us tonight, I don't think there's anything for us to do here, though. Is what it seems like.
I would agree.
On this comment, yes.
Okay.
But just it wasn't addressed as part of our original submission.
All right.
Doesn't necessarily warrant action, but just wanted to note it to the board. So in the stormwater report, the hydrologic calculations, we had requested that the area of the basin be confirmed, and it looks like it was revised in one of the plan sheets, and we're just requesting that it be revised throughout the plan set to be reflected through all the plan sheets in the plan set.
All right. So this looks like an administrative, like it looks like it just didn't, the numbers didn't get copied on every page of the plans.
Correct.
Yeah, a grading revision. Yeah, that just needs to ripple through the remainder of the sheets.
Okay.
Yeah, administrative mostly. We had a question about the contributing areas in the watershed plans in the stormwater report. It did appear that about half of the cul-de-sac didn't contribute to the infiltration system, and that either the grading or the calculations be revised. So that would warrant some sort of revision either within the plans or the stormwater report.
Yeah, we will be adding spot elevations around that cul-de-sac to demonstrate that the water will make it to the basin. So we'll update the plans accordingly.
That should be acceptable. This is a minor revision as well. We had the plans were missing, 18-inch pipe, and it appears that the plans are still missing an 18-inch pipe according to the calculations. So just that two 18-inch pipes are added to the plans, to reflect what's shown in the calculations.
Again, poor drafting on my part. We'll add that info.
Thank you. And then specific to the maintenance agreement, there's some language that needs to get incorporated into the maintenance agreement as part of the stormwater report. I believe you had referenced that it was included in the treatment train sketch, but it needs to be incorporated into a maintenance agreement.
Yeah, the applicant is working on that right now.
Okay.
Have that shortly.
Okay. I believe those are all the comments that warranted any additional action. I believe everything else we felt was addressed to our satisfaction.
John, we didn't see these this letter until now here in real time. Do you have conditions to address these written out, or how do you see as next steps?
Yeah, so we have a condition, it's kind of a standard condition that says the applicant's number 12. The applicant shall submit a revised full plan set which incorporates all of the modifications made during the public hearing process and any required in this decision prior to the commencement of any site work. We can put a statement in there that says, during the public hearing process, as identified in the PAR letter dated
May 16th.
May 16th, if you want to get more specific. And then the stormwater, we might want to just add a condition that says they need to provide a revised stormwater report.
Okay. I think with that being said, does anyone on the board have any questions for Bob, our peer review consultant, or Joe, or John? Matthew, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, I haven't read the most recent one, but I had notes from one of the earlier ones where it looked like there was a disconnect between 35, I think it was 35-foot radius versus diameter. I was just trying to confirm some of the differences. There's discussion about something that'd be 70. Am I off by a unit of feet or inches? Something required to be 80 units in diameter, and it was 70, and then but the other document mentioned a 35 unit diameter.
I think they're talking about the basically fundamentally the cul-de-sac.
That sounds right. Sorry, I just closed everything I had open.
This sounds like it's one of the waivers that's requested. Joe, could you just elaborate a little bit on the waiver that's being requested on this particular one?
Yeah,
70 foot outside diameter. That's what it was. Sorry. Yeah, on the dead ends. Yeah.
Yeah, the dead end road, in an effort to reduce impervious area at the site, we shrunk the pavement radius below what's required in the bylaw. Still works for emergency vehicles, but allowed us to introduce a little less pavement on the site than the standard. So we included the waiver request to reduce it down to a 35-foot radius, 70-foot diameter.
Oh. Thank you. Yeah, I think you said 35-foot diameter in one of the letters, which I was just trying to find. That's why I was confused.
Yep. Yep. 35-foot radius. Yep.
That was the main thing.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions?
Through the chair, not a question, but I have another condition that incorporates that revised stormwater report.
Okay, excellent. I think at this point we probably want to just go. We probably want to go through the requested waivers, right? I would say.
Rob, one more thing, if I may.
Go ahead, Matthew.
I think I saw the feedback somewhere that the 2-to-1 grading was based on the existing basin. Is that right? I was just curious about the difference in grading, whether there was any concern about stability or whatnot from prior. That's what I was waiting to see in the new letter.
No, 2-to-1 can be acceptable within a basin. 3-to-1's preferred. But yeah, no, we see 2-to-1 as an acceptable slope.
All right, thank you.
All right, before we get into any of the conditions or any of the findings or conditions, I think it makes sense to go through the waivers. We haven't, from my memory, we haven't gone through the waivers. We've had the site walk, we've been introduced to the project. So section 3.8. Everyone on the board, if you have the agenda, I can go through these one at a time.
I can stop sharing too.
All right, that'd be great, Bob. John, if it's easy, could you put the request of waivers up on the screen? So just to give a perspective, this dead end street, so there's from my perspective, there's an existing house that has like a garage behind it that's going to be so that existing house is there, and then they have I don't know if it's technically a road or a driveway to a house like behind it, and so this is to extend it into a subdivision to make a third house lot kind of behind that. And so that's the environment of this, and it's only a few houses down Ash Street, like from facing from Center School, so it's in near downtown proximity. So that's where it is. And let's go through these. Does anyone have any questions? Like I can read them out loud if that's helpful, but I'd rather people just read them. And if there's questions about specific ones, we can go through them. But I reviewed them, and I think in general they make sense for this project for us to, like, I think they're reasonable, and I just want the board to review them and get in, be able to chime in if there's any questions.
I think it's reasonable.
All right, thanks, Parker. If anyone doesn't, let's discuss them now, so we give the applicant a chance to explain. Otherwise, I'm gonna jump to 3.9, the findings, and then get into the conditions and all right, hearing none. Anyone, if you have any questions or want to stop at any point, just jump in.
I think Bob just raised his hand.
Yeah, sorry, I can't find the button. I think the diameter and radius, I think in the fifth condition or fifth waiver. 35 feet pavement. I think that should be.
You
I
think
could be
should
wrong.
That should be the radius, 35 feet pavement radius proposed?
I believe, and maybe
Right.
the applicant can correct me, but
Yes, that's correct. That's an oversight on my part. 8.2.5B.
Yep. All right. So I think when it gets time to list the waivers, I'll just try to be good about inserting radius as opposed to, and if I don't, people jump in and help correct me. All right, let's go to section 3.9 of our agenda, the proposed findings. The proposed definitive subdivision plan conforms to the subdivision regulations with the exception of the waivers requested. The waivers requested and subsequently granted by the board are not anticipated to adversely impact the surrounding neighborhood. So in section 3.10 is where I'm going to read all of the conditions and we're going to read the waivers, or I'm going to read the waivers. All right. After finding that it was in the public interest and not inconsistent with the intent and purpose of the subdivision control law, the planning board waived strict compliance with the following provisions of the rules and regulations relating to the subdivision of land. The subdivision regulations, the waivers of the provisions allow the construction of the subdivision as shown on the approved subdivision plan. All right, so I'm going to read all the waivers. Section 5.4.1.n, cross sections of each street at 50-foot intervals, none provided. Section 8.2.2.a, granite curb required along pavement edges with radii less than 100 feet, no curbing proposed. Section 8.2.2.c, modified Cape Cod berm at all edge of pavement, no curbing proposed. Section 8.2.3.c, minimum traveled way of 20 feet, 12-foot width proposed. Section 8.2.5.b, outside pavement diameter of 80-foot minimum, 35 feet pavement radius proposed. Section 8.3, sidewalks should be on one side of the street. Sidewalks should be 5 feet minimum. No sidewalks proposed. Section 8.4.10, stormwater basins. The outermost edge of stormwater basins shall be located at a minimum of 25 feet from property line. 0 feet proposed. Section 8.4.10, stormwater basins shall be screened from adjacent lots and streets. No screening proposed. Section 8.4.10, stormwater basins, embankments will have a 3-to-1 for flatter slope. Applicants show a 2-to-1 slope proposed. Section 8.4.10, stormwater basins, fencing or other effective measures shall be provided to exclude people or vehicles from potentially hazardous materials. No fencing proposed. Section 9.12.1, street trees shall be planted on each side of each street in a subdivision at 40-foot intervals. No street trees proposed. All right. Number 2 of our proposed conditions. The proposed development shall be constructed as depicted on and consistent with the approved materials unless these materials are required to be amended or modified as part of this decision, which includes plans entitled Definitive Residential Subdivision Catherine Drive dated December 5th, 2024, last revised. Do we have that date?
Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. I got it as May 6th. That's what's on the plan, the revised plan.
Yes, yes, sir.
Last revised date of May 6th, 2025. Stormwater report and drainage calculations dated 10/10/24. All right, on to number 3. Maintenance of any and all stormwater management facilities outside the road rights of way shown on the subdivision plan shall be the responsibility of a homeowners association and not the town of Hopkinton. The maintenance agreement shall include a provision which allows the town of Hopkinton to perform emergency work and for reimbursement therefore. Homeowners association documents shall be submitted to the principal planner for review and approval prior to the commencement of construction. Prior to the planning board's endorsement of the subdivision plan, the applicant shall execute an agreement with the planning board that no lot depending on the new roadway for their legal frontage shall be sold, or buildings or structures erected, or placed on, or building permits issued with respect to any such lot until, letter A, the work of the ground necessary to adequately serve such lot has been completed in accordance with the contents of the subdivision plan and profile and the subdivision rules and regulations, and that all other requirements of the subdivision rules and regulations have been fully complied with, or the applicant has executed a contract with the planning board accompanied by appropriate security to secure performance consistent with section 7.6 of the subdivision regulations to complete construction of the roadway in accordance with the subdivision rules and regulations on or before dates specified in the construct. And letter C, the applicant has recorded in the registry of deeds or land court a certificate form K executed by the planning board that the above conditions with respect to any such lot have been completed or have been amended, modified, revoked, waivers, or released by the planning board. A town clerk certified version of the decision shall be recorded at the Massachusetts County Suffolk Registry of Deeds prior to the issuance of a building permit for the work that is subject to this decision. The Director of Municipal Inspections inspects projects under construction for compliance with the approved decision. This includes the driveway, roadway, and infrastructure construction shown on the plan. If the Director of Municipal Inspections determines at any time before or during construction that a registered professional engineer or other such outside professionals required to assist with the inspections of the stormwater management system and or any other component of the approval, the applicant shall be responsible for the cost of these inspections. Number 7, all construction activities shall adhere to applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulations regarding noise, vibration, dust, sedimentation, and the use of interference with or blocking of town roads. The applicant shall be responsible for mitigating all construction-related impacts, including erosion, siltation, and dust control. The applicant shall maintain all portions of any public way used for construction, access free of soil, mud, or debris deposited due to use by construction vehicles associated with the project, and shall regularly sweep such areas as directed by the Director of Municipal Inspections in consultation with the DPW Director. During construction, streets shall be swept and catch basins, sumps shall be cleaned regularly at least twice a year or otherwise directed in ordinance of conditions issued by the Conservation Commission. The applicant shall regularly remove construction trash and debris from the site in accordance with good construction practice and the construction management plan. No tree stumps, demolition material, trash, or debris should be burned or buried on the site. A final revised signed construction management plan shall be submitted to the principal planner prior to the commencement of any site work. The applicant shall submit a revised full plan set which incorporates all of the modifications made during the public hearing process and any required in this decision prior to the commencement of any site work. A final revised signed long-term operations and maintenance plan shall be submitted to the principal planner prior to the commencement of construction. This can be combined with a construction management plan if preferred by the applicant. A long-term pollution prevention plan shall be included as part of the long-term operation and maintenance plan. Number 14, if applicable, the completed and signed stormwater pollution prevention plans, SWPPP, and a copy of the notice of intent and construction general permit shall be provided to the planning board prior to the commencement of construction. A copy of the Mass DEP approval of the SWPPP shall also be provided to commencement of site work. A final signed illicit discharge statement shall be provided to the planning board prior to the commencement of site work. No earth products shall be delivered to the site which are not for use on the property. No earth shall be stripped or excavated and removed from areas of the site unless for road, infrastructure, home, or lawful accessory use construction. No earth processing or operation shall occur on the site unless earth products are to be combined and are mixed for use on the property. All piles of stockpile earth shall be stabilized with adequate dust and erosion controls. All piles of earth shall be removed from the subdivision upon completion of construction of the road and infrastructure. Any piles remaining after that time shall be solely in conjunction with an active permit for construction or sewage disposal system, building or lawful accessory use. Any violation of this provision may result in a stop work order or plan rescission. Number 17, erosion control measures to prevent siltation onto wetlands, neighboring properties, and roads during the construction shall be implemented. Erosion and sedimentation controls measures shall be implemented during the construction period in accordance with approved plan and the construction management plan. If they are found to be inadequate, the applicant shall immediately correct any deficiencies. In the event that the erosion and sedimentation problems arise during construction, the planning board may require that all work cease until measures necessary to ensure prevention are implemented. The principal planner shall receive a sign-off confirming that the site contractor and any major subcontractors has received the construction management plan prior to the commencement of any site work. Construction may occur only between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and Saturdays between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. pursuant to Chapter 141 of Article 1 of the Town of Hopkinton General Bylaws. Number 20, no building permits shall be issued or any construction in the subdivision allowed until approval of such work has been obtained from the Conservation Commission for areas affected by the Wetlands Protection Act and the Hopkinton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Chapter 206 of the bylaws of the Town of Hopkinton, if applicable. Each lot shall be assigned a street number by the Director of Municipal Inspections, and such number shall be noted on the final plan prior to endorsement. The applicant developer shall provide the principal planner with a project point of contact and contact information prior to the issuance of a building permit. This point of contact information shall be kept current through correspondence to the principal planner until the final certificate of occupancy is issued or construction is otherwise considered complete. There shall be a maximum of 2 building lots in the subdivision. The conditions shall be written on the subdivision plan prior to endorsement. No further subdivision of the lot shall be permitted without the submission and approval of a new definitive subdivision application. The applicant shall provide the principal planner with an as-built plan for Catherine Drive prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy for the new dwelling unit proposed as part of this subdivision. And John, could you read one more condition? You said you had,
Yep.
I hope you had drafted the last
Yeah,
one.
I did. Just couldn't find it. Turn pages. The applicant shall submit a revised stormwater report incorporating changes as described in the PAR letter dated 5/16/25.
Excellent. Matthew, you have a question.
Yeah, just confirming on number 5, it's Middlesex County South Registry. And there's a parenthetical EPA on 14. I'm not sure if that was important to capture. But I think he's elided.
Yeah, the EPA is the one who issues that construction general permit. So I think you can get a construction general permit from a different source as well as just specifying it's the EPA construction general permit. And then your other question was
I think was mistakenly read as Massachusetts County South Registry of Deeds.
Oh,
okay.
okay. I apologize. At the Middlesex County South Registry of Deeds. So number 5. I guess I misspoke. At the Middlesex County.
It's a
South
very
Registry-
long list of things, Rob.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion that the board accept and approve the findings as previously read aloud by the chair and our principal planner.
So moved.
Thanks, Matthew. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, excellent. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right. 3.12.2. I'd like to entertain a motion that the board approve the definitive subdivision plan with the following conditions as were previously read aloud by the chair and our principal planner.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Matthew. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, John, do you get enough time from any decision deadline to get this done, or do we need to try to adjust any dates if we have to?
No, the decision deadline is June 6th, so we should be good.
All right. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to close the public hearing for Catherine Drive.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, excellent. So item 4 on our agenda as the applicant has asked for a continuation. That's there's no new news there, right? They're still looking for a continuation, correct?
Correct. And they are also, they gave permission to extend the decision for the stormwater management permit to June 9th, 2025.
So that's all we need to do is we need to extend the decision deadline for the stormwater management permit to June 9th
And continue the hearing
and continue the hearing.
to June 2nd.
All right. So I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the Bay Path Animal Shelter, major project site plan and stormwater management permit to June 2nd and extend the decision deadline for the stormwater management permit to June 9th.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thanks, Michael and Matthew. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right. On to agenda item 5. This is putting a couple, I'd say, rustic parking spots at the a trailhead near 101 Ash Street. Matthew, go ahead.
Just point of order before we get moving on to it. This is new public hearing.
Oh yeah, I gotta open it. I'd like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing for 101 Ash Street Scenic Road Permit.
So moved.
Thanks, Matthew.
Second.
Thanks, Michael. A roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vika South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, as I was saying, this looks to put what I would say is a couple, I don't know, parking spaces at the edge of a trailhead near 101 Ash Street. Peter, would you like to introduce what this is and what's looking to happen here?
Sure, and that this picture is probably a good way to look at it. What we're looking at doing is improving what's already existing parking there. The largest tree you see there is a mulberry. Beyond that, there's a sort of half dead, half live choke cherry, and then that tree right there by your pointer is actually a sassafras. I listed that as an unknown. Nope, not that one. The one that one right there is a sassafras, and then the one in the foreground here is the mulberry, and then right behind that there's a choke cherry. That one right there, correct. So what we're looking to do is simply add road-based material and stone dust so that when you get closer to that stone wall, it would probably be 8 inches thick so that somebody pulling off doesn't worry about sinking into the leaves and what's underneath the leaves. The other thing that would happen is right behind that sassafras, there's a large rock that you can see, a large boulder, and that would be turned so that it's basically a 2-foot by 4-foot long rock, and it would be turned so that the 4-foot length is parallel to the road. Right now it kind of juts into the parking space. So what we're doing, I think a rustic parking area is a good characterization of what we're planning to do, is just make this a little more obvious as a place where people can pull off easily. We met out there, Sean Kimball, also the Trails Committee, and I met out there with the neighbors to the south who were concerned about what was going on there. And we've decided to shift things a little bit further to the north, which should work out well for everybody. We may also put a planting or tree of some sort, carefully so it doesn't block their visibility, but at the same time indicates to people getting out of their cars that walking down their driveway is not the way to go. There is a trail sign there, and we'd look at moving that perhaps out closer to the road to make it more obvious that where people need to go is at the upper end of that red mark there.
Okay, and the land is owned by the town of Hopkins, correct?
Correct. This is in the right of way.
Okay, and then but beyond the right of way is it going to be somebody's? Is it town of Hopkins land, or is it?
Town of Hopkins land is that sort of odd thin piece there. Yeah, that's our land. It connects to Cranberry Bog Trail, which then ultimately connects over to behind Center School. So it's one end of a fairly long, couple mile trail in the woods behind Hearthstone, behind Stone Crossing. for access to most of the trail system, people typically would park behind center school. That's what commonly happens, but it'd be good to have a couple of spots, better defined spots here. And as I say, people already can pull off and park here fine, but they, you know, because of concerns about getting over close to the stone wall, their cars might be kind of hanging out towards the road, which is not ideal. This would improve that.
All right. Does, maybe we go to staff report from John next.
So this parking is proposed for in the right of way. So it is on town land, so it would be subject to the scenic road permit because Ash Street is a scenic road. And those trees are within the right of way. I see no issue with taking the trees down or moving the stone walls. Doesn't seem like it's going to significantly impact the scenic value of Ash Street. So that's the extent of mine.
Okay, looks like we have a comment from the public. Victoria, could you just unmute and state your name and address and then let us know what you think?
Hi, my name is Victoria and I live at 101 Ash Street with my husband and our 2 small children. We received notice about this last Monday, and like Peter mentioned, he came out here yesterday to talk to us, which we really appreciate. So we haven't had too much time to consider, but we understand that this might be our only opportunity to speak. So we appreciate it, our chance to share initial concerns with the committee. Our primary concern is safety. So we appreciate that Peter is taking that into consideration in terms of maybe moving some of the location of the parking. Mainly, we wanted to offer that Ash Street is a narrow, winding, high traffic road. And we think that parking cars along it might create dangerous blind spots, both for drivers and people getting in and out of their car. Also, as pedestrians that use this road, we'd have to be forced to walk around cars to get to the street. This is a particular safety concern for us because of our small children who might not be visible to drivers, and we would like to advocate for reasonable alternatives, like putting in a sidewalk that continues maybe the existing sidewalk that ends at Blueberry Street so that hikers could access the trails and pedestrians could also get by safely. So thanks for your time and consideration of our concerns.
So, Victoria, can I ask you a question? What is your,
Sure.
if you were to say, like, if the decision was up to you and considering it's like right in basically it is in the proposed parking is in the right of way, but it's right, your land, your home is right on the other side of it. What would you say? Would you say, no, we shouldn't do this, or yes, it's okay?
I would really prefer that it wasn't located here, but I understand that I'm not the only one in the community, so.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, so I do have an opinion on this. I live on Blueberry Lane, and I've actually accessed this trail a number of times. I take my dog walking down there. I mean, it is a beautiful trail down there. It's to Victoria's point, Ash Street, particularly on that area, is it's windy, it's narrow. I think it's dangerous to put parking there. I'm hard pressed, even having done that walk many times, I'm kind of still a little hard pressed to see where the parking would be. And, to allow 2 cars to park and, I think it's a dangerous situation. I would, at minimum, we need a site walk, or I know this is my last meeting, but I'm just telling you, I would definitely side with Victoria on this. It's a dangerous area. Victoria, I will apologize to you because I will walk my dog on your property to stay off of Ash Street as I head back down to Blueberry. So it's just not a safe area to pull off cars. It's just, that's my perspective.
Okay. Maybe that is our next step here, is we schedule a site walk to actually see what it looks like on the ground, I'm able to like maybe get some on the internet now. I can kind of see the down the street with maybe more imagery, so I'm seeing the parking and the trail, and but I think it'd be good for the board to be able to see this in person.
Through the chair, I just
Go ahead,
don't-
John.
I want to be true to what the bylaw is, and I don't want to be a stickler on that, but the project, and I explained this to Miss Julian and as well, what project is being done after the trees are taken down is kind of non-consequential to the planning board decision, because the planning board decision is based on the aesthetic value that the trees and stone wall add to the scenic road. So the board can make the decision however they want, but I just want to turn you back to what the decision criteria actually is. And it's really the proposed action is taking the trees down and moving the stone. They could put in a driveway 5 days from now if the plan is approved. It doesn't matter what they put in after. It's just what the proposed action is. So again, board can make the decision how they want to, but I just want you to look at what the decision criteria for scenic roads are.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And I would again still I would oppose taking those trees down. I mean, I've seen what they've done prior to, well, when they did the development off of Blueberry, they just raised it to the ground, and you know, take it. Is it going to affect the scenic route? No, but let's take a few more trees down a few feet further down Ash Street, and then a few more up the other street. And it's just, you know, leave the landscape the way it is. I think it's beautiful. I think it's, you know, they may be scrub trees or whatever, but again, yes, they can put in whatever driveway or whatever they want. I would think that the town of Hopkinton would listen to its constituents though. And I think this is, you know, definitely not something they should do. Sorry, Peter, go ahead.
Just one final point, which is that there will be another meeting out there. One of the Trails Committee's charges is to make sure that residents are heard. So the plan would be to meet out there again with the folks, including Victoria, who previously received this notice. So abutters, one of our jobs is basically to reach out to abutters and speak with them.
I think that's great. I really appreciate that. So, you know, Victoria, this is actually my last planning board meeting. But I believe I've actually met you and your husband. I have the very large dog that I've walked past your property before. So certainly look me up, and I'd be happy to support you on this. I have never, of all the times I've walked on that trail, I've never seen a car parked on the side of the road. So I'm not sure who we're appealing to, but thank you, Peter. I'm glad that you guys are listening to the residents.
All right.
One more thing through the chair. This is a joint hearing with the tree warden as well. So Carrie, DPW director's on there. So I didn't know if you wanted to touch base.
I do. I would love to hear, Carrie, your perspective. You're muted. There you go.
Yeah, a couple of different screens open. I'm of the same kind of perspective as the tree warden. I'm only here to comment on whether or not I have any objections to those trees being removed. And at this point, I do not. So if it is the will of the town and this is the project they want to move forward with, I have no objection to the trees being removed.
Maybe I could jump in quickly if that's okay.
Matthew, yeah, but go ahead, Matthew, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm Victoria's husband. So I'm also a resident at 101 Ash. And yeah, I totally agree with everything she's saying. I appreciate the conversation. It's helpful to be here and kind of get a sense of kind of the transparency involved in the whole process. But yeah, I guess I just had a question, like how is it evaluated whether those trees can be, is it the aesthetic value that's taken into the consideration? Is it you know, the fact that it's part of this trail proposal that is being considered? Just so I understand more about it. Sounds like there doesn't seem to be an issue with these trees, but just so I understand more what the criteria is used to judge that, whether they're okay to be removed or not, would be helpful from my perspective.
Do we, is there strict criteria, John? Here we go. So this is the decision criteria of like how the decision works. So section 5.7 here, you could, the degree of which the proposed work would adversely affect the scenic and aesthetic values upon which the scenic road designation was originally based. The necessity for the proposed work in terms of public safety, welfare, convenience, compensatory action proposed, such as replacing of trees or walls. Availability of reasonable alternatives to the proposed work which could reduce or eliminate anticipated damage to trees or stone walls. Whether the proposed work would compromise or harm other environmental or historical values. Consistency of the proposed work with previously adopted town plans and policies. So I think the first bullet and the last bullet is probably the most relevant. I think it's perception of from the tree warden that these street trees are not aesthetically important for a scenic road designation. So that's perception, and it's basically the last bullet. It's fairly consistent with proposed approvals that have been given in the past. I do think it's worth us as a board to go actually see the trees and the stone wall that is it's either part of or not part of, and see what it actually looks like in person, and so we can get an assessment. That's what I would like to do. I think it's hard for us because we don't really get to judge this based on the reasonableness of a 2-car parking area there. We get to judge it on, are those trees and is that stone important for a scenic road designation? That's what we're getting asked to evaluate it on. But anyone on the board think differently?
You're the chair.
Go ahead, Karen.
I think you said the first and the last one, but I think the second one is actually also important because in terms of public safety, welfare, or convenience, sure, it would be convenient for cars to park there, but I think again, I drive Ash Street all the time. It's narrow, it's windy. People drive on it way too fast, despite the 25-mile-an-hour. I mean, God bless those Hopkinton police. They've been sitting on there and trying to slow that down. But people drive that road way too fast. And I think it's a danger for whatever cars are parking there, for people getting in and out of the cars. And I think it's definitely a public safety issue that should be of concern. So maybe the first, second, and last one should be concerned.
Through the chair.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so Victoria's probably rolling her eyes because I talked to her about this too. The way that that one is usually interpreted is in the positive, right? So it's taking the trees down to help with safety, not removing the trees so that the safety is preserved. If there's a hazardous tree or a tree that's not quite hazardous that the tree warden can't give their permission to remove without the scenic road permit, but somebody still wants to remove the tree because they're worried about it falling across their driveway or falling across the road, that is what that bullet is usually intended to cover. Not necessarily the project that's going to result from the removal of this tree is going to be dangerous, therefore don't remove the trees because the safety will be preserved, kind of a thing.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I mean, I just would agree with Rod that a site visit would probably be best for the board. Even though I'm not going to be there. Well, I'll be there anyway. But the question I would have is, you know, how much work has been done relative to, are those the only trees that will be taken down? Is that the only rock, or is it they're going to start on the project and then they're going to say, oh, you know, this isn't far enough in and we have to take out more. So that would be another concern, which might want to be taken into consideration. But
where, just for my education here on this call, the sidewalk coming down from this down Ash Street
it
from
ends at Blueberry.
at the first Blueberry entrance.
Yes.
Okay, and so this house is obviously beyond that, down Ash Street and the trail. All right. what are people's opinion on the board? Are they okay with the planning a sidewalk so we can actually see what this looks like on the ground?
I'd like to see it, Rob. I mean, I know Ash Street obviously, but I don't know specifically where this is, so I'd like to see it.
Okay, I tend to agree. This is where it gets a little challenging. John, we're gonna have, we obviously had our town election tonight, and we're gonna have two new members of our planning board joining. And so in terms of scheduling the sidewalks, do we just schedule it, assuming they'll be able to make it, or what's your opinion?
So since this public hearing was open before they were seated on the board, they're not eligible to participate in the hearing. So it
Okay, so it
really
doesn't
if
matter.
they're- Yeah.
All right. How far, like, I'm wondering how far down it is. Yeah, is there really anywhere to park?
You park on Blueberry Lane
Yeah.
and walk up, and you'll see where, I mean, we agree that a sidewalk would be nice going to this trailhead. It would be a piece of connectivity that the Trails Committee would be in support of. You know, what we're looking to do with these two spots is just the people already park there. I certainly parked there, and others have. This would allow cars to be a little further off the road, but happy to have a site walk. And as I said, we're planning on having another meeting with abutters in any case.
All right. So we've got Memorial Day weekend coming up here. What does anyone think about like a Tuesday or Thursday at say 5 o'clock next week?
I would prefer that.
Yeah,
Does it matter which day, Tuesday or Thursday?
I like Tuesday better personally, but could probably make Thursday work too.
All right, let's plan on Tuesday. I'm looking on the date. Tuesday, May 27th, 5 o'clock. We'll park at Blueberry and we'll walk down and just try to get a lay of the land and what we're talking about here as we so we can move this to the next step, whatever that may be.
Just want to mention, if you guys want to park on our property for that, that would be perfectly fine on 101 Ash Street. Also just, yeah, I just want to mention, we'd be very positive towards supporting the extension of the sidewalk. I think and we've spoken to a couple other local residents in the area that, to us, that's a very reasonable alternative. And that would be great for local residents. That'd be great for trail access, et cetera. So just to, just reconfirm that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So at this time, I'd like to. Do we have a decision deadline on this, John? I'm going to look to continue this hearing to our next meeting.
Decision deadline is 21 days after the close of the hearing. So.
All right. So when is our next meeting?
June 2nd.
All right. So I'd like to continue the public hearing for the scenic road alterations at 101 Ash Street. I'd like to entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Oh, Matthew, hold on. Matthew, go ahead.
We can do it next time.
Okay, if you're sure. All right, Matthew Michael with the motion.
Second.
Thanks, Matthew. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronca,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Happ,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Vicar South Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is a yes. All right, so I don't know, Matthew or Victoria, if you are available, you're more than welcome to join us in our sidewalk. It's not only a planning board thing. Anyone can join if they want to.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. So this was our last item on our agenda for this evening. So our next meeting, June 2nd, we should have 2 new planning board members sworn in from the election today. So hopefully that's the case, that they get to town hall and get sworn in for our next meeting. But at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn for this evening.
So moved.
Thanks,
My last,
Karen.
my last meeting, I'll move to adjourn it.
Excellent.
Second.
Thanks, Michael. Roll call vote. Matthew Ronka,
Yes.
Michael King,
Yes.
Parker Hap,
Yes.
Karen Wills,
Yes.
Bikasath Prati,
Yes.
and Rob Benson is yes. All right. Thanks, everybody. Until next time.
Take care.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.